few years ago, my wardrobe looked something like this. Stuffed to the brim, and I was still craving more. It wasn't until I realized how much money this habit was draining from me, but also how it made me more frustrated than content. You know, those constant piles and feeling like I was failing by not keeping my wardrobe tidy. So I started to declutter my wardrobe. I think I got rid of over 80% of my clothes, and I used to think that would be restrictive, but it turns out it was exactly what I needed. It's so much easier to pull an outfit from clothes you truly love than to scavenge through piles for items that just feel meh. So there are a few items that I just don't keep in my wardrobe anymore, and that I think you can declutter too if you want a bit of a reset. The shoes you don't wear. You know that pile of shoes that we often keep just in case, but we never actually wear. Apparently, women in the UK own about 24 to 35 pairs of shoes, and men own about 19 pairs of shoes on average. And I was one of them too. I used to have so many pairs of shoes, but I kept a lot of them thinking, you know, I'll wear them for this specific occasion. But I think if you can pare it down to just a few shoes that kind of fit most of your lifestyle needs, then there's no need to have 30 pairs of shoes, because most likely we don't wear that many pairs of shoes, or at least not on a regular basis, and they can be quite costly. Like a pair of shoes these days, especially if it's like a quality one that will last you, they can be quite pricey. So my goal right now is the shoes that I have need to be shoes that I wear on a regular basis, so pretty much every single week. And of course I have some seasonal ones, like a pair of boots that I put in storage, or a pair of sandals that I take out in the summer, but for the most part the trainers that I have, the few pairs of trainers, are the ones I wear on repeat, and they get a lot of wear. So this is a good time to just go through your shoes and have a look, and you know, just kind of being honest about how many of those we actually wear and how many are just taking up space, because also shoes take up a lot of space, and sometimes we feel like it's a storage problem, like we just need to buy more storage items, or a new shoe unit, or a new rack, or a different system to fit more shoes in. But sometimes it's also a matter of decluttering and just getting rid of the shoes that we don't truly need. Leggings that have gone baggy. I used to have so many pairs of black leggings, probably over 10 pairs of black leggings at one time. And for one, I didn't wear all of them, because a lot of them I kept just for spares, you know, just in case. My favorite black pair was in the wash, but the truth is I probably needed like 2 pairs or max 3 pairs and I would have been fine. I actually only own 1 pair of black leggings now, and it's also given me an impulse to kind of wear more of my other clothes, you know, wear more jeans or wear just different outfits and style the items that I have in there that I love in my wardrobe. But I remember I used to keep so many leggings, and some of them had gotten so worn. They were like, you know, when the fabric gets thinned out and they have like a baggy knee and they just don't look great, or they just didn't make me feel great when I put them on, and I still kept them for a long time for some reason. And also the jeans that don't fit, or trousers. It's not just jeans, but sometimes we can have so many pairs of jeans in our wardrobes, but most of the time I think a lot of us, or at least myself, I tend to gravitate towards the same like 2-3 pairs of trousers or jeans that I just wear on repeat. They are kind of my favorite ones. I just love the fit. I love how they go with different outfits, and for me it's generally a straight pair of jeans and kind of a lighter wash. It just feels most like me, like myself, and I feel good wearing them. I feel like I know how to style them with lots of different outfits. I mean, jeans are quite basic anyway, aren't they? But I have found in the past I have tried to buy other trousers like in different patterns, but I find that if I have those 2-3 pairs of jeans that fit me well, that I love wearing, that I love, you know, pairing with different outfits, that's plenty for me. And when I used to have a lot more jeans, I just never wore the other ones. I always gravitated towards my 2 pairs of favorites, and then the rest of them would just be there just in case. This just in case seems to be kind of a trend, doesn't it? But I think especially when we're going through a lot of weight changes, like when I had my baby and I was, you know, you have maternity jeans and then you have your postpartum jeans. And so I think after having my 2 babies, I realized I had a lot of jeans in there that just didn't fit my body anymore. And so those are good to get rid of. I mean, if you're still in the like very early postpartum or just going through the baby phase, then maybe it's worth keeping some of them in a maybe decide later pile, or just keeping them in storage with your off-season items. But in my regular wardrobe, like the daily wardrobe I open every day, I want to make sure the jeans I have in there are the jeans that actually fit me right now. Also those guilt items, you know, those items that you just for some reason feel guilty getting rid of. Maybe they were a gift, or maybe you bought them at some point thinking they would be a good choice, but they didn't end up being so. Maybe it wasn't comfortable, or maybe it just didn't fit your lifestyle. But a lot of the times we keep holding on to items that we don't wear, like we have absolutely no use for them. And deep down, I think for a lot of them, I didn't know I'm never gonna wear this item again, but I kept it because I just kind of felt like I had to justify to myself that purchase. But at some point I feel like it's okay to accept that, you know, it wasn't a great purchase. It's just not an item I'm wearing, and it's okay to let go of it. And we don't need to feel guilt over every single one of these items. The high maintenance item. I have had a fair few of these, and I feel like I've kind of experimented with a lot of items, and there are certain fabrics that I do like wearing, even though they're slightly more high maintenance. But I've tried to be more realistic with, okay, it's okay if it's a slightly higher maintenance item, as long as I feel like I have the capacity to actually maintain that item. You know, if it's an item that I avoid wearing completely because of that, because it's high maintenance, because it needs like special cleaning or anything like that, then that's probably an item I don't really need to keep in my wardrobe. And this can also fluctuate in, you know, different seasons of life. I know for myself it probably will once maybe my kids are older and I have more of a capacity to take care of my clothes. But right now I feel like kids are a priority over taking care of my clothes, if you know what I mean. So I need, for the most part, things that are easy, that don't require a lot of ironing, that are not like super high maintenance. And I think it's a good idea to just kind of have a sense of where you are at in your life right now and how much you can manage, and keeping the items that actually fit that. The stained t-shirt that you hate wearing. I think we all have them at some point. Like if you've had t-shirts for years and years, obviously those are a good item because you probably wore them a lot, but sometimes they get stained, they get worn out, they get like maybe a deodorant stain or some sort of a stain that just doesn't come out. And sometimes I hung on to those items for way longer than I should have. And so those are really good to declutter from your wardrobe, because it's probably not going to make you feel good when you put them on, and that's not what we want with our outfits. Also, that itchy jumper you avoid wearing, and I think I'm kind of medium sensitive. Depending on the fabric, it might make me feel itchy or it might not. I do have some like wool jumpers that some people might find itchy, but for me they've been okay, especially if I have an underlayer. So it's all like personal preference, it's all up to you, of course. But I think if you have jumpers that you put on and you just get that like feeling like you don't enjoy wearing them, then those are good to declutter. And especially maybe in this phase of life, if it's not comfortable, if I don't feel good in it, I'm just not gonna wear it. I just know I'm gonna avoid wearing it, and then, you know, what's the point keeping an itchy jumper if I'm not gonna wear it ever? And if it makes me feel uncomfortable, and if like the whole day I feel just kind of off, you know, that's not what we want. I want to feel confident in my clothes, I want to feel good. That influencer item that maybe you saw online, you bought, but you never ended up wearing. I actually have had quite a few of those back in the day, because I was influenced by a lot of things I saw on social media, and I was kind of trying to join that influencer world myself, but then I realized I don't think it actually aligns with, you know, who I am and my values. And we see so many clothes online these days, but you know, just because it looks good on an influencer or it goes with their lifestyle, it doesn't mean it's going to necessarily go with mine. So for me, I just had to realize, okay, if I'm not enjoying this, then there's no point in keeping it any longer. And also that Pinterest outfit that just doesn't go with your lifestyle. We see outfits on Pinterest and we think, you know, I would love to recreate that. And sometimes it works out. I think that can be a good inspiration, but sometimes it doesn't. Like sometimes I'll try a Pinterest outfit and I think, yeah, that's just not for me. I just don't feel like myself, or the outfit combination just doesn't go for me. And it's okay to acknowledge that and to get rid of those items if we're not actually wearing them. And it can be hard because sometimes we have this like fantasy me version of ourselves in our mind when we create some of these outfits. Yeah, so it took me a while to kind of accept this, but getting rid of those fantasy me items can actually make you such a huge favor, because you will end up with a wardrobe full of clothes that you actually love wearing and that do fit your lifestyle. So that makes getting dressed in the morning so much easier. The expensive item you don't wear. And I know this can be very hard and it's kind of tying into that whole guilt thing, but when we spend a lot of money on an item, we can feel this guilt and shame, especially if we don't end up wearing it for a long time or we don't wear it often. It can feel like a waste of money. And I think it's okay to accept that not every purchase is going to be a great purchase, and we just learn, and in the future we make better decisions when we do make purchases from this. And decluttering it and kind of going through the process for me was really helpful, because it made me realize, okay, all of these items I bought and I didn't end up wearing, it must be for a reason. And that made me a lot more aware when I went shopping next time not to buy items like that anymore. And I think that saved me a lot of money over the years. But also the great thing about expensive clothes, if you did buy them and you just never ended up wearing them much, is that you can probably get a lot of your money back, maybe not like the full chunk, if you sell them on places like Vinted or other apps like that. And also the cheap item that you don't wear. It doesn't have to be expensive. Sometimes we buy cheap items, like really inexpensive ones, and there's nothing wrong with getting a bargain, especially if you end up wearing it a lot. Like, that's amazing. Sometimes we buy items just because they're cheap in the store, just because they're on sale. I know I have done that in the past a lot. You know, if it was a bargain, it would end up in my basket, but then I would end up with a wardrobe that was full of bargains and clothes in a variety of colors that I just didn't end up wearing. I wanted to have options and to feel like I have that abundance, but at the end of the day, it just didn't do that. Like, it didn't make me content. It just made me crave more. It made me feel unsatisfied because it was just overwhelming. I think when you open your wardrobe and it's full of items that you may or may not like, it's very hard to get dressed. Out of season things as well is something I take out of my wardrobe. So anything that's like winter boots, now that we're going into summer, you know, if it's winter boots or winter gear or, you know, thick fleecy leggings that I know I'm not going to wear for the next few months, I will take them out and put them in storage. We have some storage under our bed where we keep all of the out of season items. And I also have some baskets up there, so I kind of rotate between them. But just keeping inside of that wardrobe, like my daily wardrobe that I open every single day, I want to make sure what's in there is items that are relevant right now for this season, for this body shape, you know, not for, you know, if I lose weight, if I do this. I just want the things in there to fit me right now for who I am in the present moment. Also, the accessories. I don't own a lot of accessories, but things like belts and stockings and hats and all of these little things that we accumulate, I think it's good to go through them and have a think about, you know, am I wearing this belt? Am I really getting use out of it? Or is it just like a waste of space having loads of them in there? I also like to do an underwear reset once in a while, and I used to keep like underwear and bras and socks and things like that for way longer than I should have, but I think at some point they do get quite worn out and they're not supportive anymore, or, you know, they've got holes in them or something. So it's good to have a reset in there, get rid of anything that doesn't fit you anymore, anything that's uncomfortable, anything that has holes in it. And also, if you've got in there bags of things, I know I used to have sometimes like a random plastic bag with items in there. It might have been random clothes, maybe things I wanted to declutter, maybe things I just threw in there, you know, bags on the handles of the wardrobes, maybe things that need to go somewhere else in your home, like they need to be relocated. That's a good time to just get it out, have a look through that bag and get rid of anything in there that you're not using, because it's very likely, for me at least, when I had things in bags stuffed in the bottom of my wardrobe, I wasn't really using any of the items in there, obviously. So those can be actually a really good win to declutter and clear up that space. Let me know what you would add to this list. And also, if you want more help with your decluttering, I have a free decluttering checklist that you can download down below that can give you more ideas and inspiration on how you can, you know, get to the next step with your declutter. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in my next video.